Good morning. Today we'll continue with the mastoid antrum and the internal ear. So objectives to be learnt are mastoid antrum, the bony labyrinth, membranous labyrinth, organ of Corti, and its applied aspects. Mastoid antrum is a small circular air-filled space situated in the posterior part of the pittus part of temple bone. In adults, it is about pea-sized. Coming to the boundaries, superiorly is the tegmen tympani, inferiorly the mastoid process containing the mastoid air cells, anteriorly it communicates with the middle ear cavity through the epitympanic recess, that is the auditus to the antrum. Posteriorly it is separated from the sigmoid sinus by a thin plate of bone. Medially is the pittus part of temple bone. Laterally it is related to the suprameatal triangle. The mastoid air cells are a series of intercommunicating spaces of variable size present within the mastoid process. So main blood supply are posterior tympanic artery, which is the branch of the stylomastoid branch of posterior auricular artery. Venous drainage is by the mastoid emissary vein, posterior auricular vein, and the sigmoid sinus. Lymphatic drainage to the posterior auricular and upper deep cervical lymph nodes. Nerve supply by the tympanic plexus of glossopharyngeal nerve and meningeal branch of the mandibular nerve. Mastoid infections are secondary to otitis media. It is very difficult to treat, so the pus has to be drained through the suprameatal triangle. So care must be taken not to damage the facial nerve. The infection may spread to the through the temple bone to the cerebrum, cerebellum, or to the sigmoid sinus. Coming to the internal ear. So this lies within the pittus part of temple bone. It contains two parts, that is the bony labyrinth as well as the membranous labyrinth. Both are separated by the perilymph. The membranous labyrinth is filled with fluid called endolymph. So parts of the bony labyrinth are cochlea, vestibule, as well as the semicircular canals which lie posteriorly. The cochlea, which lies anteriorly, resembles a shell of a snail. It makes 2 and 3/4 turns around the central axis called modulus. In its interior, there is a partial spiral lamina. So this is almost like a shelf-like projection which projects from the modulus. It divides the cochlear canal into two components, the scella vestibuli above and the scella tympani below. So here you can see the spiral lamina, incomplete lamina. It is being completed by two division by the basilar membrane. So upper part is called scella vestibuli and lower part is called as scella tympani. The scella vestibuli and scella tympani communicate with each other through a small opening called as helicotrema, which is present in the apex of the cochlea. The vestibule, the central part, so this is related to the middle ear cavity. Laterally, it opens into the middle ear cavity through the oval window or fenestra vestibuli. This is closed by the footplate of stapes. Posteriorly, it contains the three semicircular canals. Medial wall is related to the internal acoustic meatus. It presents two recesses, elliptical recess behind and spherical recess in front. Both the recesses are separated by a crust called as vestibular crust. Below the crust splits to enclose the cochlear recess. The duct of the vestibule opens into the lower part of the elliptical recess. This opens by a narrow fissure which is present in the posterior aspect of the pittus part of temple bone. So the opening lies posterior lateral to the internal acoustic meatus. This opening is plugged by the ductus and endolymphaticus as well as a vein. So this prevents the perilymph from escaping. So semicircular canals are three in number: anterior, posterior and lateral. They lie posterior superior to the vestibule and they are set at right angles to each other. Each canal is 2/3 of a circle. So it is dilated at one end called as ampulla. The three canals opens into the vestibule by 5 openings. The anterior lies in a vertical plane. See, it is at right angles to the long axis of the pittus part of temple bone. It is convex upwards and its position we can see in the middle cranial fossa as the arcuate eminence. The ampulla is situated anterolaterally, while the posterior end of the anterior semicircular canal is united with the posterior canal to form what is called as a crus cummins. This opens into the medial wall of the vestibule. The posterior semicircular canal lies in a vertical plane parallel to the long axis of the pittus part of temple bone. It is convex backwards. Its ampulla lies at its lower end. The upper end joins the anterior canal to form the crus cummins. The lateral lies at a horizontal plane. Its convexity directed posterior laterally. Ampulla lies anteriorly. The two lateral semicircular canals of the two sides lie in the same plane. The anterior of one side lies almost in plane with the posterior canal of the opposite side. Next, coming to the membranous labyrinth, it is complicated. It's a continuous closed cavity filled with endolymph. Its epithelium is specialized in various parts. So main receptors you are going to see are the organ of Corti for sound, macula for static balance or equilibrium, and crista for the kinetic equilibrium or balance. So coming to the spinal duct of Cochlea, so which is the organ of hearing. Utricle and saccule is for the static balance, which are present within the vestibule, and semicircular ducts is the organ of kinetic balance. So duct of cochlea, so where you are going to find is the organ of Corti, is a spiral duct which occupies the middle part of the cochlear canal. Here you can see the duct of cochlea occupying the middle part of the cochlear canal. It is present between the scella vestibuli above and the scella tympani below. It is triangular in section. Its floor is formed by the basilar membrane. Roof is formed by the vestibular membrane. Outer surface is bony wall. The basilar membrane supports the spiral organ of Corti or organ of hearing. This contains specialized hair cells. So they are columnar epithelium. The outer hair cells as well as the inner cells are separated by the tunnel of Corti. The superior surface you are going to find is the membrana tectoria, which comes in contact with the hair cells. So here you can see the basilar membrane supporting the organ of Corti. The basilar membrane, again I mentioned to you, that is the inner and outer hair cells. In between these hair cells is a tunnel of Corti, and the membrana tectoria lies superior to the hair cells. So it is innervated by peripheral process of the bipolar cells located in the spiral ganglia. This spiral ganglia is within the modulus at the base of the spiral lamina. The central process forms the cochlear nerve. Posteriorly, the duct of the cochlea is connected to the saccule by a narrow tube-like structure called ductus reunions. Sound waves reach the endolimbs through the vestibular membrane. Appropriate parts of the basilar membrane vibrate, and the hair cells of the membrane come in contact with the membrana tectoria, and the sound is interpreted. By this, different parts of the organ of Corti are stimulated by different frequencies of sound. The loudness of the sound depends on the amplitude of vibration. Next, coming to the saccule, it lies anterior-inferior part of the vestibule. It is connected to the basal turn of the cochlear duct by the ductus reunions. The saccule is larger. It lies in the posterior superior part of the vestibule. It receives 3 semicircular ducts through 5 openings. The duct of the saccule unites with the duct of the utricle to form the ductus endolymphaticus. The utricle is larger. Its end is dilated, called a succus endolymphaticus. They occupy the aqueduct of the vestibule. Macula, it lies in the medial wall of the utricle and saccule. They are thickened. They contain specialized hair cells with gelatinous material, which is called as otoliths. It's an end organ which gives information about the position of the head. They are receptors of static equilibrium or balance. They are supplied by the peripheral processes of the neurons of the vestibular ganglia. Crista, so they are present within the semicircular ducts, that is in the ampullar part. They are 3 in number within the corresponding, so semicircular ducts are 3 in number corresponding to the bony canals. The dilated part is called ampulla, and the ampulla is lined by the crust of the crista. Crista contains specialized hair cells lined by gelatinous material called otoliths. They respond to pressure changes of the endolymph caused by movements of the head. It is an organ of kinetic equilibrium. The main blood supply, a labyrinthine branch of basilar artery and labyrinthine vein, drains into the superior petrosal or the transverse sinus. The external acoustic meatus develops from the first ectodermal cleft. The auricle or tubercles appearing in between the first and second branchial arches around the opening of external auditory meatus. They unite to form the particular auricle. The middle ear and auditory tube are developed from the tubotympanic recess. Malleus and incus as well as the tensor tympani are developed from the first arch. Malleus and incus from the cartilage, while the tensor tympani is from the mesoderm of the first arch. Stapes from the second arch cartilage, while stapedius is also from the second arch but it's from the mesoderm. The internal ear, the membranous labyrinth from ectoderm vesicle on each side of the hindbrain vesicle, while the organ of Corti is ectodermal. The vestibular cochlear nerve. So it has two distinct parts, the cochlear part and the vestibular part. Cochlear is a part concerned with hearing and vestibular part is concerned with equilibrium. Both parts contain specialized somatic afferent nerve fibers. The cochlear nerve are two in number, that is dorsal and ventral cochlear nuclei situated in the inferior cerebellar peduncle. The vestibular nuclei are four in number, superior, inferior, medial and lateral. They are situated at the junction between pons and medulla in relation to the floor of the fourth ventricle. So the path of hearing are, the first order neuron is the spiral ganglia, so which is mainly, that is the bipolar cells form the first order neuron. So they innervate the organ of Corti. They terminate in the dorsal and ventral cochlear nuclei, which is the second order neuron. Most of the axons arising from these nuclei cross to the opposite side and terminate in the superior olivary nucleus, so which forms the third order neuron. Their axons from the lateral lemniscus reach the inferior colliculus. So in the inferior colliculus situated in the midbrain is the fourth order neuron. So the axon passes to the inferior brachium to reach the medial geniculate body. So medial geniculate body forms the fifth order neuron. So from here you are going to find this auditory radiation, which passes to the sublentiform part of the internal capsule to reach the auditory area of the temporal lobe. So coming to the vestibular pathway, so you have the macula and crista, that is both the vestibular apparatus. So macula contains the saccule and utricle for static equilibrium, and crista, which is present in the ampulla of the semicircular ducts for kinetic equilibrium. They are innervated by the peripheral process of bipolar neurons of the vestibular ganglia. These ganglia are situated in internal acoustic meatus. Central process of these neurons form the vestibular nerve, which ends in the vestibular nuclei. The second neuron is the pathway of balance lies in the vestibular nuclei. These nuclei send fibers to the archicerebellum through the inferior cerebellar peduncle, that is called as vestibulocerebellar tract, to the motor nuclei of the brain stem. So they also related to the oculomotor nerve, trochlear nerve and the abducent nerve through the medial longitudinal bundle. So to the anterior horn cells of the spinal cord through the vestibulospinal tract. Through this vestibular pathway, impulses arising from the labyrinth also influences the movements of the eye, head, neck and trunk. So assignment are mastoid antrum, parts of bony labyrinth, parts of membranous labyrinth, organ of Corti, macula and crista.